Regardless of how you feel about climate change, what we do in reaction, what we would do to solve climate change is what we should do as citizens of the earth. We want to recognize too that there are many different issues at which we should all be part. And one of those issues is global poverty. You can't watch the news or read an article without seeing there is a great need in this world. And so the issue for today's debate is resolved: when it cannot do both, the United Nations should prioritize poverty reduction over climate change. Supporting the affirmative position in this debate will be Junior Caitlin Walker and Senior Matt McDonald, and supporting the negative position is Senior Ben Rudzinski and Senior Spencer Thomas. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Madison Central's fifth level debate.
She's shivering. The rumble of her stomach is incessant. She digs through the trash can, searching for any little scrap of food she can get her hands on. She swats at the flies that buzz around her head. When people see her, they merely see her frail bones sticking out through her yellow skin, for she is completely emaciated. This is a child of poverty. Good morning. My name is Caitlin Walker, and today I'll be debating the following proposition: when the UN cannot do both, it should prioritize poverty reduction over combating climate change. I am in favor of this proposition for three main reasons. First, poverty is a clear and undisputed problem. Also, poverty affects the most defenseless of our population. And last, poverty reduction is an achievable goal.
Good morning. My name is Ben Rudzinski, and I'm against this proposition for three main reasons. These being that climate change must be combated or poverty will worsen, climate change will affect more people, including wildlife, and lastly, the United Nations can do more by addressing climate change over poverty. My first argument was that climate change must be combated or poverty will worsen. Poverty-stricken countries rely chiefly on the agricultural goods they produce. With growing temperatures and global climate change, the crops will become harder and harder to produce. This can easily lead to food shortages and even more poverty that will affect far more than countries I listed earlier. My second argument was that climate change affects more people than poverty does. Unlike poverty, which affects a certain group of people, climate change affects everyone around the world. My third and final argument is that the United Nations can do more by addressing climate change over poverty. Climate change means reducing carbon emissions. This is something that can be mandated, regulated, and enforced by the UN. Poverty, however, is much more complicated, requiring economic growth and social maturity, none of which can be systematically affected by the UN.
Hello, my name is Matt McDonald. First, those in poverty are more likely to die from hunger or fall victim to health risks virtually eliminated in the modern world. Second, those that do survive often live lives of despondence and hopelessness. And finally, that while climate change is a long-term concern, poverty is an immediate concern that must be addressed. Every day, almost 16,000 children die from hunger or hunger-related causes. Every year, 6 million more die from preventable diseases. Poverty is widespread and an all-affecting problem that causes an increased chance of an early death. Second, those that live in poverty and do survive past the very young life expectancy often, more than not, live extremely hard lives that are extremely stressful and at times seem hopeless.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Spencer Thomas, and I will be discussing the idea of climate change and poverty reduction. The main point of discussion is, which of the two is more vital for the United Nations to take care of first? Knowing that balancing the two at one time would be too much for the UN, I believe that resolving global climate change is the more important of the two. This is a problem that the human population must acknowledge since its effects are global. My arguments include the following. Contention 1, climate change is a problem for the entire population of the world. And contention 2, the standard of living for those in poverty will be increasingly worse if climate change is not resolved. We as a whole should know that sustaining the life of the earth is also sustaining our own lives. We must be aware that the utter destruction of the environment would be the end of human existence, wealthy or in poverty. People of the world are struggling with poverty, but the whole world is in danger due to the increasing problems of climate change. But here's the problem. Climate change will soon alter natural vegetation. It will diminish water supplies, greatly affect wildlife habitats, and cut crop growing seasons. Putting off climate change only increases the trouble for these people because they have the absolute fewest available resources to adapt.